There I was, standing on a stage, wrapping up what I thought was one of my best speeches ever. The audience had been engaged. They were nodding along, laughing at all the right moments. And then it happened. I made a huge mistake. I ended with a weak, forgettable, and totally lame closing. I mumbled a quick thank you. I shuffled off stage and watched as people politely clapped and then immediately turned their attention to their phones, to their drinks, and to their conversations. No one rushed up to talk to me. No one asked for my business card. No one felt moved enough to take action. At that moment, I was confused. I was frustrated. And if I'm being totally honest, I was pretty depressed. I had delivered a great message and I knew it was valuable, but why wasn't I getting that flood of people eager to connect with me? Then, a little bit later, after reviewing and analyzing and reliving that moment over and over, I finally realized the truth. It's not just how you open your speech that matters, it's how you close. Because if your closing isn't strong, if it isn't clear and compelling, your audience forgets everything else you just said. Poof, gone. Welcome to another episode of the Next Stage Speaker Success Secrets podcast. I'm Lord Al Jensen, and after delivering more than 7,500 stage presentations since my first one in 1974, I've seen firsthand what separates forgettable speakers from the ones who get standing ovations, who get new clients and ongoing speaking invitations. And guess what? It isn't always the most polished delivery. It's not always the best storytelling, and it definitely isn't the length of your talk. The real secret to being a high impact, in demand speaker, it's all about how you close. The final words of your speech are the most important words that you will ever say. Think about it. The closing is the last impression that you leave. It's the final thought your audience takes with them. It's the moment where you either inspire action or you lose them completely. Why is this so critical? Your closing determines whether your audience remembers you or forgets you. It's the key to inspiring action, whether that's getting more clients, more bookings, or simply just making an impact. A bad closing really can ruin a great speech. But a strong closing can turn a good speech into an unforgettable experience. I've seen it over and over. Speakers who absolutely crushed their speech, but then lost all momentum in the final moments. I've also seen speakers who started out shaky and nervous, even stumbling through their words, but because they nailed their closing, they ended on a powerful note. They left the room buzzing and had people lining up to talk to them afterwards. That's the power of a great closing. Today, I'm breaking down the essential formula for closing any speech with confidence, with impact, and with influence. By the end of this episode, you will know exactly how to end your speech with power so your audience remembers you long after you've left the stage. How to get more clients and speaking opportunities by closing in a way that compels action. And you'll be able to use a simple, repeatable framework to craft the perfect closing every single time. And here's the kicker. You don't have to be a professional speaker to use these techniques. Whether you're presenting in the boardroom, speaking on a podcast, leading a webinar, or standing on a huge conference stage, these strategies will ensure that your audience hangs on to your last words and that they take action. And stick around to the end because I've got something special for you, a plug and play system that makes crafting your closing effortless. So let's get started. So now you know it's not just about how you start your speech, but it's about how you close that leaves the biggest impact. Because here's the reality. Your audience will likely forget most of what you said, but they will remember how you made them feel in those final moments. And that feeling, that's what determines whether they take action or simply move on. This is the difference between a speech that inspires real change and one that gets polite applause and is soon forgotten. I want you to think about the last great speech that you heard. Not just a good one, but a great one. The kind that stuck with you, the kind that made you take action, rethink your perspective, or tell someone else about it later. Now ask yourself, do you remember every single point that the speaker made? Probably not. Do you remember their entire speech word for word? Definitely not. But you do remember how it made you feel. You remember the moment that it all clicked. And that moment usually happens in the closing. So if your closing is weak, if it's unclear or forgettable, everything leading up to it loses power. That's why today I'm giving you the 3 most powerful closing strategies that every speaker must know. If you want more bookings, if you want to make more impact and more results from every talk that you give, you must master these techniques. Now, let's start with a harsh truth. Most speakers end their speech like this. Well, today, that's all I have for you. Thanks for your time. And then you hear some scattered polite applause. Or maybe even worse, they just fade out, rambling with no clear takeaway, leaving the audience uncertain if they're even done speaking. We've all seen it happen. Maybe you've even done it yourself. And the result? A forgettable talk, a wasted opportunity, and a room full of people who just don't take action. Now, compare that to the great speakers, the ones who own the stage and get booked over and over again. They command the final moments of their speech. They reinforce their message in a way that sticks, and they move their audience to take action. And most importantly, they make their closing unforgettable. And that's exactly what you're about to learn to do. A powerful speech closing isn't just one thing. It's a strategic blend of 3 key elements that work together to create a lasting impact. Here is what they are. Number 1, the callback, bringing it full circle. Reconnect with a powerful moment from your speech. Number 2, the call to action, where you guide your audience toward the next step. You tell them exactly what to do next. And then number 3, the closing power line. Leave them with one unforgettable sentence. You'll deliver a final mic drop moment that sticks with them. I'm going to break down each of these one by one so you know exactly how to use them in your own speeches. Let's start with number 1, the callback. One of the most emotionally impactful ways to close your speech is with a callback. Now, a callback is when you reference something earlier in your talk, tying it back in a way that makes your message feel complete and intentional. Think about the best movies and the best books that you've ever experienced, the ones that really stick with you. The best ones don't just stop, they wrap up the journey in a way that feels deeply satisfying. And that's what a great callback does. It signals to your audience that your message has come full circle. It reinforces the core idea of your speech in a way that sticks, and it gives your audience a feeling of completion. Now, there are 3 easy ways to use a callback effectively. If you started with a story, return to that story with a final insight. If you opened with a question, answer it in a way that drives your message home. If you introduced a key phrase or theme, reinforce it one last time. Here's an example of a callback. Let's say you opened your speech with, 3 years ago, I was standing backstage, my heart pounding, about to step onto the biggest stage of my life. and I was absolutely terrified. So your closing callback could be, remember that terrified speaker backstage? That was me. And now I walk onto any stage with confidence because I know that my message matters. And so does yours. Do you see how that ties everything together? It creates emotional resonance and leaves the audience with a sense of completion. But a callback alone is not enough. We need to get your audience to take action. So that's where the CTA, or the call to action, comes in. Here's where most speakers simply drop the ball. They've delivered an amazing talk, the audience is inspired, they're engaged, they're ready to take action, and then the speaker doesn't tell them what to do next. And when your audience doesn't know what to do next, they simply do nothing. A weak call to action sounds like this. If you enjoyed my talk, let's stay connected. That's just way too vague to be effective. A strong call to action sounds like this. Pull your phone out right now and connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search my name and hit follow. See the difference? The great call to action is specific and it tells your audience exactly what to do. It's actionable and it's easy and immediate. And your great call to action is compelling. There's a clear benefit. Now, your call to action will depend on your goal. Here's 3 ways to make your call to action effective. If you want to generate leads, you may say something like, well, go to mywebsite.com and download the free resource that I created just for you. Or if you want to create social media engagement, tag me on Instagram with your biggest takeaway from today's talk. Or if you're selling something, I've put together an exclusive offer for you. Go to mywebsite.com and grab it now. The key, make it easy, make it clear, and make it valuable. Now we're down to the final moment of your speech, the closing power line. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked out of a movie, a TED Talk, or maybe even a speech, and there's that one line that just sticks in your head? That's what your closing power line should do. It's the final thought that locks in your message. It's the last thing your audience will hear from you. And if you get it right, they remember you for years. Here's how to create a powerful closing line. Your powerful closing line should, number 1, reinforce your message in a single sentence. It should leave your audience feeling inspired or challenged. It should be short, rhythmic, and above all, memorable. Here's a few proven ways to craft your final line. The full circle callback. Tie it back to how you started your speech. As an example, if you opened, 3 years ago, I stood backstage, terrified to step onto the stage. Your closing could be, now I step onto any stage knowing one thing, my message matters, and so does yours. Why does it work? It makes your talk feel complete and emotionally satisfying. Number 2, the commanding call to action. Use a direct, action-driven statement. As an example, your story is powerful, but only if you share it. So go share it. Start today. Take the first step. The world is waiting. Why does it work? Because it creates urgency and momentum. Number 3, the rhythmic, repeatable phrase. Give your audience something catchy they can remember and share. As an example, speak with confidence, lead with impact, change the world. Not someday, not later, right now. Why it works? Well, it sticks. Your audience will repeat it, they'll tweet it, and most of all, they will remember it. Now, you know exactly how to close any speech with impact. Use the callback, bring your speech full circle. Deliver a strong call to action. Tell them exactly what to do next. And drop a closing power line. End with a sentence that they will never forget. These 3 elements turn your speech into an experience. They make you memorable. They make you impactful, and above all, they make you bookable. Now, let's talk about how to make this process effortless for you. Knowing the framework is one thing. Applying it, making it second nature, is what separates good speakers from unforgettable ones. And that's exactly why I created the Next Stage speech closing formula, the easy way to end any speech and leave a lasting impression every time. If you want to confidently close your speeches in a way that inspires action, that gets you booked and makes you unforgettable, this step-by-step mini course is for you. It's not just theory. It's a proven plug and play system that makes crafting the perfect closing fast, easy, and repeatable. Inside, you'll get the ultimate speech closing framework, learning exactly how to structure your final moments for maximum impact. You'll get fill in the blank closing templates, proven scripts so you can create your perfect closing in mere minutes. You'll get the callback and call to action blueprint, step-by-step guide to seamlessly transitioning into your close. You'll get AI-powered closing line prompts, instantly generate powerful, memorable final lines with the help of AI. And a bonus, the perfect closing cheat sheet, a printable quick reference guide to use before any speech. Because you're listening to this podcast, you can grab the entire course, including all the templates, all the examples and bonuses for just $27. That's a fraction of what most speaker training programs will charge. So click the link in the show notes or below this episode. It'll be around here someplace real close. So don't just end your speech. Own your final moment, master your closing, and start getting more impact, more bookings, and more results. All right, that's it for today's episode of the Next Stage Speaker Success Secrets podcast. If you found this valuable, please subscribe, leave us a review, and above all, share it with a fellow speaker. And remember, your message matters. So keep speaking, keep inspiring, and keep transforming your audiences. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode.